So sometimes you'll be given questions that sort of have this makeup. It'll say, give an equation in slope-intercept form for a line with a slope of -1/2 that passes through 6, 3. So all they're giving me is the slope and a point, a random point that the line goes through. They're not giving me slope and y-intercept. If they gave me slope and y-intercept, it'd be really easy to just go ahead and write it in slope-intercept form. I'd just plug -1/2 in for m and whatever the y-intercept was in for b. But they didn't give me y-intercept. They just gave me some random point that the line goes through. So that's the whole importance of point slope form. I don't know the y-intercept right now, but I can use it to find it. So what I can do right now is plug into my point slope form. If I know that -1/2 is my slope, I can plug that in for m. I also know that this is an x-coordinate, x1, and this is a y-coordinate, y1, that can be plugged in as well. So when I go to plug in, x1 is going to go in right there, and y1 is going to go in right there. So I know this looks sloppy with all the arrows, but this is what this is going to look like after we plug in. So y minus y1 will be y minus 3. I plug in the -1/2 for m. It's not working right now. Which would be -1/2. And then instead of x minus x1, I'm plugging in the 6 for x1. Now realize both of my x1 and my y1, they're positive numbers. So when I go do y minus 3 and x minus 6, right now they're staying as subtraction symbols. But if I was subtracting, say this was a -6, and I had to do x minus -6. If x minus -6, I would turn that into a plus. Minus negative turns into a plus sign. But in this case, this was a +6, so I'm just doing x minus 6. From here, I'm in point slope form, but I didn't answer the question. The question wanted slope intercept form. So what I have to do here is distribute, which will give me y minus 3 equals -1/2 x. And then -1/2 times -6, a negative times a negative is going to give me a positive, and half of 6 is 3. Now this was sloppy, but to get y by itself, I'm going to add 3 on both sides. And I should get this to cancel, and I get y equals -1/2 x plus 6. That's in slope intercept form. So now I know slope is -1/2. I knew that from the beginning. What I now know, what I learned, is the b. I now know the y-intercept is 6. So I gained some information that I did not know before, and now this would be a much easier graph.